Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Day Weather Podcast. I'm happy to report that today's podcast has not been canceled. Just a little bit of humor there. I think we need a little bit as we go through what we're going through right now. And with the weather, there's certainly going to be some challenges. And want to talk about what we're facing here over the next week to 10 days, because in the Intermountain West and across Wyoming and surrounding states, there's going to be a lot going on. So first things first, we've got a lot of weather to talk about. We've got a small storm system today that's going to affect many areas of Wyoming, Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska, and South Dakota, and Utah. We also are going to be looking at a bit of a break over the weekend into early next week, but we're going to see snow in the western and northern mountains of Wyoming, especially around Yellowstone Park and Jackson Hole. But the rest of the region will have a bit of a break. Probably midday Saturday through Tuesday with not a lot going on. But a larger storm is going to arrive by the middle of next week. And that storm system, folks, could be significant. And we'll spend some time on that today. First of all, the first storm system coming through today and tonight is going to produce snow across the Intermountain West. This area of snow right here is going to be happening through the course of the day today and through the morning hours of Saturday. We're going to be looking at a pretty good area of snow for you folks in Nebraska into the southern Black Hills of Wyoming and South Dakota with this system. Anywhere from about 3 to 6 inches of snow. You can see about 1 to 4 inches of snow in southeastern Wyoming up to near Casper, back along Rollins, and just about to Rock Springs and Rollins. Notice there's a bit of a hole here in the Front Range and northeastern plains of Colorado. This area here is going to have freezing drizzle, light snow, icy, foggy conditions, but the significant snow not going to be falling there. We do expect poor travel weather today and tonight in these areas where you see snow. Lots of fog and freezing drizzle as well along I-80 and I-25 in southeastern Wyoming today. Watch out for that. This snow up here is going to be coming later in the weekend with a big low coming off the California coast. This is why we're telling you that Jackson, the northwestern mountains of Wyoming, Yellowstone Park, through the weekend, we'll see significant snow. So this is the first storm system. Not a real big one, but enough to be a nuisance and certainly turn things more winter-like. This is the low that's coming into today. This is where the low is right now. It's going to kick out and go right across here later today and tonight, getting kicked out by this bad guy we've been watching all week. That British Columbia low is going to be a big weather maker. So let's watch how things evolve. This is today. Now this is by Monday morning. Notice it goes from British Columbia to just sitting off the Northern California coast. We have that big area of high pressure in the Gulf of Alaska. We have the big low sitting out here and the big high in the southeastern United States. This is why this weekend and early next week, notice the flow is west to east. When the flow with the jet stream is west to east, that brings milder air from the desert states and the west coast into the high plains and Rockies. So this is the break we're going to see Saturday afternoon, Sunday into Monday and Tuesday, where it looks breezy and mild. But this guy right here is just going to spin along the west coast. It's going to bring much needed moisture to California, parts of the Pacific Northwest, heavy snow to the Sierras. By Thursday night and Friday, notice a lot changes. That low off the California coast kind of breaks in the two. It's actually not breaking in the two. We're going to see another system up here dive south, coming in onto the back side of it, while the main part of that California low breaks off. And look at it. It's over northeastern areas of Colorado by Wednesday night and Thursday, while that other low is back over here. Now, I will tell you, this is a pattern we've seen many, many times, where you have the low come off the coast of California, jump the divide, then reform over northeastern Colorado. If this becomes the solution, if this ends up being correct, this is going to be a major snowstorm for the Intermountain West and the Western High Plains as early as Wednesday night, but especially Thursday and Friday. We're fairly confident that this pattern you see here makes sense. What we see developing, here's that big high. Can't explain to you enough how important this high is in the southeast United States, because it keeps the storms in the Rockies for a little bit. A big slug of cold air is possibly going to come in on the backside of this system as well. Now, we can compare models and we can see that there are differences between them. This is the European model, which we have a high confidence in, especially in storm situations like this. The Canadian model also has a storm, but it's more north. It's more north up there over Nebraska instead of down here. Oops, sorry about that. Now, if we take a look at the differences between the models, we got a Colorado low, which would be a big storm. We have a Nebraska low, which wouldn't be as big of a storm, but still a weather maker nonetheless. So stay tuned Monday. I think by Monday and Tuesday by sure, I think we're going to have a good idea on whether or not we're going to have a significant March storm come Wednesday night, Thursday, and Friday. Climatologically speaking, when you look at when we tend to see these bigger March storms, they tend to be during the second and third and fourth weeks of the month. So climatology says that this is the time of year to expect them. The weather pattern certainly is favoring that possibility. If we were to look at what the potential for precipitation would be by the middle to the end of next week, this is what it looks like. Again, this is just a model, but notice this swath right here across Nebraska, southeastern Wyoming, into parts of northern Colorado. This would be a significant winter storm because if we were to take this is what the liquid water would be. You can see 2.5 inches, some areas 3 inches of water. You convert that to snow, that's what it looks like. So stock growers, I really want to stress to livestock interests watching and listening to the podcast today that we may have some livestock concerns. It was a year ago today, we had that big March blizzard in 2019 that was devastating to the livestock industry. Not saying yet that this is going to happen next week, but stock growers who are in calving operations, that if you're in Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, or South Dakota, I want you to pay very close attention to weather forecasts and this podcast early next week, and we'll see what transpires. Sometimes these fizzle out, but our confidence is growing that we'll have some type of major storm system during the second half of next week. Cold air is going to come in on the backside of this. This is next Friday. Now, these aren't forecasted temperatures. I don't want you to think that these are 25, 26 degrees below zero. These are temperatures relative to normal. When you have temperatures that are 20 to 30 degrees below average, okay, you're talking about some really cold air coming in onto the backside of the storm. That's why we're concerned that this could have can be a major problem for folks in calving operations and anybody with travel plans during the second half of next week. Again, I don't want to hype this up too much, but this is why we do the podcast. We want to give you sort of the inside information on what is to come, and we'll stick out our neck as much as we're comfortable with. So I'm kind of sticking my neck out here. Monday will give us a day to adjust. Again, this is something that is almost a week away. Things could change, but I want you to pay close attention. So we'll update you early next week. In the meantime, have a good weekend. Stay safe. We'll talk to you on Monday.